have an extremely special guest on the line. I'm so excited for it. Janelle, I believe I see you on here. So if you guys don't know Janelle, I would be seriously shocked. I feel like she's a woman that doesn't even need an introduction, but she is, I believe, forgive me if I get this wrong, a superstar, 3 coach, multi-million-dollar earner, 3-time top 10, 6-time elite. Like, this is the big guns right here. And I know my team is so excited to hear from you because we are a little bit of a baby team. We've only been around for 2.5 years. So we're really excited to hear from the best of the best here. I will go ahead and unmute you, Janelle.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Emily. It really is an honor and a pleasure to speak to your team. You guys may or may not know this, but Emily did a training for my team recently, and everyone was just blown away. And the one thing that a lot of my coaches said, and these are coaches who have been in the business for, 6-7 years, and they're like, wow, Emily runs her business and speaks and trains like she's been doing this for, as long as me, if not longer. Like, she is so smart. So Emily, it's an honor and a pleasure because I know that your team gets amazing trainings, and I only hope that I can say something tonight that'll maybe resonate, or a nugget that you can take away. Yes, she's a boss. Because, I know you guys get great trainings, and if you're not getting on all of Emily's trainings or following everything she's doing, you're crazy. You need to check yourself because she's really, really, she is beyond her years in understanding this business. So I'm really honored and flattered that you asked me to speak.
Well, thank you. We're so excited, seriously. And we do feel like, we're on the up and up this year, Janelle. So we're excited for your knowledge tonight to help boost us through to the next level.
Awesome. Okay, well, what I wanted to talk about tonight is the different phases of your business, because I'm assuming there's coaches on this call that are at all different levels. And, I think, at least for me, and I've been doing this, you guys, for almost 9 years. Let me just back up and tell you just a little bit of my story. When I started this business, you guys, I was working at least 60 hours a week. I had a full-time job, full-time career, and I was also working a secondary job on top of that, and being a mom and being a wife. And I was just crazy, crazy busy. I'm the type of person where I am an introvert, but I'm a go-getter, and I always have been. I love challenges. I love to work really freaking hard, and I'm a people pleaser. And so in that life years ago, I just wanted to do everything that anyone asked me to do. I was like, sure, I'll do it. I just wanted to do it all and be it all. And what I realized is I had nothing left for myself, and I barely had time to do my own workouts. I was actually teaching fitness classes on top of everything else. And I was kind of doing that just because I felt like if I don't teach classes, there's no way I'll fit my workouts in. Like, if I'm not actually expected to be there at a certain time, there's no way I'll even fit my workouts in. So I was teaching classes at 6 a.m. So getting up at 4 something just to get ready and get into the gym and go teach classes before work started. And so I was just trying to do it all, and just running around like a chick with my head cut off. And I just thought that's the way life needed to be. I just thought this is the life of an adult who's a mom and 2 working parents. And, just, we were able to pay our bills, but didn't have a lot left over for savings. And if anything came up, like a vet bill or a doctor bill or something like that, we were like, oh my gosh, so stressed out. And I just kept thinking that's the way it's supposed to be. Like, that's life, right? And, so many of my other friends were living that same life. But there were a few people that I had this other life that just seemed so much easier. And I just thought that must be just for them. And I always thought that this is what I was meant to do, just work my freaking butt off and hopefully get further in life. Well, that wasn't working out too well. And when this business came along, I just thought, okay, that sounds like a dream come true. I've always wanted to do something in fitness full time because fitness, dance, and sports have been my passion since I was little. And I thought, to be able to do something in fitness full time would be awesome. Being a fitness instructor that I was, even through my corporate career, I was always a fitness instructor, always a personal trainer on the side. Again, always trying to do it all and be it all. Like I taught fitness classes sometimes on my lunch hour. I personal train people in the morning or at night or taught classes. So I was always fitting in fitness. And always wanted to do something full-time in fitness, but I never saw that opportunity just because, you know, Matt and I, my husband and I researched, you know, opening up a gym and what that would cost and the amount of overhead and how many hours we'd have to put into it and how much we'd have to invest into it. We really very, very seriously researched that. My husband was in a corporate career as well. And we both love fitness and always have. And we just really wanted something where we could do fitness. But even researching the route of having our own gym, it was just like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to live there and we probably won't turn a profit even in our first year. It might take a couple of years and blah, blah, blah. So when this came along, it sounded too good to be true. And I was really hesitant. And, you know, I did my research like a lot of you probably did. And I was like, I love what this is about. I love that this is not about like me and showing off like how, you know, what I can do or you know, sales or, you know, trying to hit quotas or anything like that. It was all about helping other people and how much could I lead by example and how much could I help other people. And so once I realized that's what it was about, I was all in 100%. And I was like, I don't care what it takes. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for a living. And I'd heard that other coaches were able to quit their full-time jobs doing this. And I was like, you know, I don't know how long that's going to take me to get there or if I'll ever get there, but that's what I'm going to aim for. And if anyone else can do it, then I know that with my hard work, my work ethic, I can do it. And I had tons of people who were skeptics. I'm sure you've all dealt with your skeptics, whether it be loved ones, friends, and it stings. And I've been there. And fortunately, my husband was 100% behind me. But definitely I had friends and family members who were like, that's crazy. And those kinds of things don't last. And it's a pyramid scheme and blah, blah, blah. I heard all of that. And I had done my research. I'm like, no, the facts are this, this, and this. This is how the compensation structure works. I get it. This is what you have to do. I love it. I was all about it. So I dug in and I started building my business early in the morning, late at night. And yeah, I lost a lot of sleep and on weekends. And I just did what I could. And I just did not give up. I didn't know what I was doing. You guys, I joined the business the same day as my upline sponsor. So I didn't have a getting started right call, and I don't blame her for any of that. We joined on the same freaking day. So, you know, I didn't have oh, Janelle, here's what you do first, and here's what you do next, and here's how you run a challenge group, and here's how you make a sale, and here's how you add. We didn't have that, and my sponsor didn't have that either. We were just trying to figure out what to do. So for those of you that have, you know, obviously you guys all have Emily, you have, you know, your upline, Angie Bellamar, you have me, I'm your upline as well. You have mentors and you have trainings at your fingertips. So there's literally no excuse. It's just a matter of, it's not a matter of, can you do this? It's a matter of, do you want to do this? And hopefully you have a driving force. I know I certainly did, because I knew at the pace I was going nowhere. Like, what was I going to accomplish in my life by just constantly work, and really, not having enough time for myself or my family. I couldn't be the mom that I wanted to be. I couldn't be the wife that I wanted to be. I didn't have time. And I thought that was okay. And I kept suppressing the idea that there was something else out there. I just kept thinking that it was too good to be true. So yes, I just saw someone who commented, work smarter, not harder. And that's exactly it. I thought, I've got to be smart about this. I got to dig my heels in and build this business so that I have a light at the end of the tunnel. Because I certainly was not headed towards any light at the end of the tunnel, at the direction I was going. So I want to go through the different phases that you kind of go through in your business, just so that you kind of know what to expect. So no matter where you are in your business, sometimes it can be a little daunting to try and think about, like, okay, I'm here right now. And it's not easy, because it never is, right? And you're thinking, how do I get there? Like, that just seems overwhelming. It seems way too far-fetched. I know that when I was a 1-star diamond, and, you know, hearing about, I remember, I'm pretty sure at the time there was a guy who was a 10-star and there was someone who was 15-star. And I just thought, what in the heck? Like, I really was baffled, completely baffled. I was like, how would that even happen? And so I'm sure, and I know that coaches coming in think the same things, like, what? I'm not even emerald yet. How would I get to 1 star? How would I get to 10 star? Like, it just almost seems funny. It's so far fetched. And so I just want to kind of paint that picture for you, what the different phases of your business look like, so that you can say, okay, I know where I am right now. I know kind of what you can call it, phases, you can call them stages, whatever you want to call them. I guess stages might be a better word. But you kind of figure out, okay, what stage am I in right now? And then say to yourself, what do I need to do to get to that next stage? And so what you need to do to get to that next stage is listen to the things I talk about in that next stage and use them as like a checklist, because the people in that next stage, those are the things they are doing. So if you're in stage 1, you really need to be paying very close attention to stage 2, because that's what you really need to be focusing in on. Okay, so first stage, that's when you're newer as a coach, and or you're not yet emerald yet, or maybe just emerald, okay, or just barely emerald, or maybe shaky emerald. So you're right in there somewhere. So you're either new and or you're not quite emerald, or you're shaky emerald, somewhere in there. And so usually what you're experiencing at that time is overwhelm, especially looking at what other coaches are doing. So you really need to shut that down. But you are experiencing some overwhelm, and that's normal. I just want to let you know that these things are normal, and that's one of the reasons I want to go through these things, is because I want you to know it's normal, and to just embrace it and go, but here's what I need to do next. The other thing that you're experiencing is some awkwardness and making some mistakes, like doing some things where you're like, oh my gosh, I should not have done that. Okay. It's okay. You need to have that awkwardness and make those mistakes, you guys. One of the reasons I am where I am is because I was so awkward and made so many mistakes. Yes, fail forward. When you are the type of person where you're not willing to go to that awkward place and make those mistakes, then you're too bound by perfectionism and you can't move forward. It's that paralysis by analysis, right? So that second thing of feeling awkwardness and making mistakes, you have to just embrace that as a good thing, because that is where you're going to learn. The third thing that you're going to experience in this first stage is just learning how to connect with other people and learning how to find people, okay? In this newer stage, you really are in this stage of finding people. You're not usually, and this is different for everyone, but you're usually not attracting people yet. You're usually not at the stage where you can post about something and someone will message you and say, hey, by the way, where can I get that program? Or how can I join your team? You're usually not at that stage yet, and that's okay. So stop looking at other coaches who maybe are at that stage and thinking, oh, I should be there. No, you're not. You're just not there yet, and you will be. This is stage 1. I've been in stage 1. Every coach out there has been in stage 1. The other part of stage 1 is that you're figuring out where and how in the heck to fit this into your daily routine. You've heard that consistency is so incredibly important, but yet from day to day, you're still trying to figure out how to fit this in. And a lot of times you feel behind and you feel overwhelmed, and that's all normal. But you do have to troubleshoot that for yourself and go, what can I do differently? How can I fit this into my day? Where can I fit this into my day on a regular basis? And don't beat yourself up on that one day where you couldn't, or it just did not go as planned. You have to just turn around and pick up where you left off, right? Someone said they felt like this for the first 6 months. Yes, now it's normal routine. And I will say that too. I mean, being that I was still working full time and so incredibly busy, I had to go in that first stage where I was overwhelmed and thinking, how am I going to keep fitting this in? I'm like getting no sleep. I had to make some very difficult decisions. I said at the beginning of this training that, I really was working 2 jobs, a full-time job and a secondary job. I gave up the secondary job, and that was a very difficult decision. And so that's one of the things that I had to troubleshoot. I was like, okay, I can't keep going at this pace. Something's got to give. And so that's where you've got to make some hard decisions. If you're serious about this business, you've got to make some difficult decisions and sacrifices. And that was a very difficult decision for me, you guys, because that secondary job was bringing in money. Beachbody wasn't. So that was a very difficult decision. We couldn't afford for me to give up that secondary job, but we couldn't afford for me to give up this opportunity. We couldn't afford that even more. Okay, so we had to make that difficult decision. The other thing that happens in that stage one is dealing with some negative family members and people just not being supportive of what it is that you do. And just let that be fuel to your fire. You've heard that before, but you really have to stay very strong in your beliefs. Don't try and convince people, just lead by example, and realize that people's opinions are based on their previous experiences. Okay, so try not to fault them too much. They may know a person or a relative or read an article or whatever that just completely has given them this perception. And they've got these beliefs within them based on that experience or whatever. And so that's what their opinion is, where it's coming from. It has nothing to do with you. Their opinion is based on some kind of previous experience, and that's all it is. So give them a new experience, show them what you do, lead by example, just stay cool, and give it time. You know, I definitely dealt with a lot of people who I love that just really thought this was a crazy thing to be investing my time in. And a lot of those people are now like, oh my gosh, look at you now, you know, and they're wishing that they would have joined then, or most of them have joined by now, but a lot of people that just, they don't even want to admit it, that this worked, right? Okay, so that's stage one or phase one. Stage two is where you're beyond emerald and you're maybe even diamond. So you're somewhere in between that you've got like 3 to maybe 10 or 12 coaches. Okay, so somewhere in between emerald and diamond or shaky diamond. Okay, and you guys, this is the hardest stage. I do think it's the hardest stage. I really do. When I was in that stage, it just was like mind-boggling to me. And if you're in the stage, I think you might understand, but it was baffling to me that I was so excited about this business and I believed in it so hard. And I had these team members who, a few of them really could have just hit this out of the park, and they just were not doing anything with the business. They weren't. I was hosting trainings. I was doing everything I could. I was creating documents for them. And everything I was doing it from scratch, you guys, just making stuff up to train them and help them. You know, and then I even, for my local team members, I rented out a computer lab. What other coach have you heard do this? Probably none, right? I rented out a computer lab. I did this at least twice, where I rented out a computer lab and asked my coaches to meet me there so I could help them navigate their online office. No one does that, right? I did that. Did anyone show up? A couple. But my point is, out of the team members that I had, I really did not have any, except maybe one, sometimes two, that were actually reading my emails, or watching my trainings, or reading any of the training documents I was sending, or anything. So it was super frustrating. And but that's that stage. And so, but the good thing is with that stage, usually you're getting very consistent with certain things. You're getting consistent with your posting. You're getting consistent with introducing the business opportunity, or you should be. You're starting to understand how to do that, and you're starting to do that, introducing the business opportunity. You're getting consistent with challenge groups at this point. Like you are in the habit now of every month looking at your calendar and scheduling that challenge group. Whereas in stage one, maybe you weren't doing that because you're like, I don't know, one went well, another one didn't. I don't know if I'll do another one. You're not sure if it's worth your time. In stage 2, you're like, okay, I get it. I've got to be consistent with this. And you're scheduling your challenge groups and hosting challenge groups, even if it means only, 2 people in that group, which I've done before, by the way, challenge groups with just 2 people. You're starting to focus now on personal development. You understand the value of personal development and how that fills your brain with all these positive thoughts and improves your self-concept. Brian Tracy talks a lot about self-concept and how you talk to yourself in your head and how you feel about yourself and how that conveys to others. So you're doing this personal development, you're understanding the value of that, and that's helping you in your posts. It's helping you in your communication with your team members, your challengers, your friends and family. You're starting to transform from the inside out. You're also stepping out and showing that you're a leader to your team. Even if they're not following along, even if you feel like they're not really listening, you're starting to do that. You've got a team name. You're starting to establish some, boundaries and some systems. You're starting to just dabble into some of that. Maybe you have a team Facebook page now. Maybe you're regularly doing a team email. You're starting to do a little bit of that now. The other thing is you're starting to branch out into at least one other social media platform. So when you're in stage 1, typically you're kind of comfortable in that one platform. And maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's Instagram, but that's where you're kind of comfortable. When you get into stage 2, you now have that confidence and experience and consistency that you feel comfortable going into another platform, another social media platform, if not 2 others. Maybe you were really focusing on Facebook and now you're really getting into Instagram and YouTube, or maybe it's Snapchat and YouTube or whatever. But this is that stage where you do that. The other thing is that you're starting to understand your niche, your market. You're starting to understand your voice. When you're in stage 1, you're really in this mentality of like beach body. I need to promote fitness. I need to get into conversations with people about fitness. You're really in this mentality of like fitness, and you kind of aren't discovering yet who you are. In stage 2, you're discovering that. You're discovering that certain posts of yours really pique people's interest, and certain pictures and certain things that you talk about because you have experience there. Maybe it's your sense of humor. Maybe it's that you have a certain expertise when it comes to healthy eating, or a certain I don't know, maybe you've had an injury, maybe you're going through a pregnancy. Like, you always have this certain, topic that really works well for you, and you start to understand your brand. Now, your brand, you guys, I know when I first heard your brand, like, what is your brand? You said I've discovered I'm the hot mess mom. I wasn't able to read the rest of it, but it seemed funny. But your brand, I know the first time I heard that I needed to figure out my brand, I was like, I don't have a brand. Like, I'm just a mom who likes fitness and eating healthy, and I work hard. That's it. Like, I didn't think I had a brand. And what I realized was your brand is everything that you are, but you have to embrace what you are. You have to embrace you have a certain style about you. You have a certain personality about you. And so much of these things that make up your brand, you are not aware. Other people are much more aware. And so you're going to start hearing from other people, oh my gosh, Sarah, I love it when you post about this, or you're so funny, or your posts are so inspirational, or they're so informative, or the way you explain things. Your brand is your personality. It's your previous experiences. It's the things that you like to talk about. It's the way you, it's the style of your photos. It's how you come across. Are you super, super cheery? Are you a little more laid back? All those things make up your brand, okay? And you really want to stay consistent with that once you start to figure it out. And it's not easy. It's something that I'll tell you, admittedly, I struggle with. I've always struggled with it. It's something that I'm constantly trying to, for my team, research myself and learn more myself and fail forward myself so that I can get better at that. But there's no doubt about it that in stage 2, that's where you're starting to understand your brand. And then the other thing is in stage 2, you're getting into attraction marketing. And this is something where I definitely, I feel like I've done a good job with that. What I did, one of the first things I did that had to do with attraction marketing was I learned, and this was in stage 2 that I kind of learned this, failing forward, that through my posts that people really like to see food because of the way I presented it and made it really bright and colorful. And I would never take a dark picture of food. I would never take a picture of my meal in a dark restaurant, because no matter how amazing that meal is, it doesn't look good if it's not under natural sunlight. It just doesn't. It looks like vomit most of the time, no matter how good that meal is. So every time I posted food, I made sure that I put it in direct sunlight, and I, used my edit to brighten the colors and sharpen the photo. And I realized that the more I did that, the more I was attracting people, and people giving me tons of great feedback about my food pictures and how that made them want to eat healthier, and that it was so interesting to see, what someone in fitness eats, blah, blah, blah. So I started to realize that that was part of my brand, right? And that was so shocking to me, you guys, because I don't cook. And so when I started to realize that part of my brand was showing foods, I realized that there are people who don't cook who really resonate with the foods I was showing. I was always showing salads and wraps, stuff that's super easy, no cooking involved. And I found I have a market of people who also eat that way. They don't necessarily have time to make some, big meal for every meal, and that was really helpful. So it was something I had to discover. I never would have known that coming into this business. I never would have known that in stage 1. It's just, again, the stages you have to go through. So in stage 2 is where you start dabbling with that attraction marketing and realizing, okay, there's certain things that people like to see from me. And so what I did was I created a foodspiration, meaning food inspiration, a foodspiration ebook. So I hired someone on, at the time it was called, what was it called at the time? I can't remember. I can't think of it. But anyway, I hired someone on one of those sites where you can hire people. I forget now. You guys will have to comment if you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, it's Upwork. Yes. Thank you, Emily. It used to be called something else, but Upwork.com. And so I just wanted Upwork.com. I typed in the job description for what I wanted, said I wanted someone to pull the last 50 photos of my food pictures from Instagram and make an ebook from it. And I got a whole bunch of bids, anywhere from $50 to make the ebook to up to $200. And I actually took the highest bidder at $200, believe it or not. But it was because you get to see their work and you get to communicate back and forth with them. And this woman that I chose, she just was like, her work that she had done previously was perfect in our communications. Like, she gets me. And I was like, this is who I'm going to choose. And so she did it in 2 weeks. And I said, can you just pull all 50 photos, log in as me, pull all 50 photos, make them into an ebook that people can download to their laptop or their phone. And, we'll edit the caption so that it makes more sense for an ebook, and we'll categorize the pictures into breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks and desserts and smoothies. And she's like, sure, got it. It was so simple. And you guys, to this day, I add to my network in my sleep just from people opting in to that Foodspiration ebook just to get food ideas. It's not even recipes. It's just like, this is a wrap with feta cheese and some turkey burger and avocado. I mean, it's like the most simplest stuff ever, you guys. So now, like, some of my coaches have made like crock pot ebooks and all kinds of crazy cool freemiums is what we call them, that people can opt into. And so, there's a whole other training that you could listen to on that. And I do have trainings on freemiums that you guys can access if you want. But it really was a fairly simple process, but that is the stage where you start dabbling in that. Okay, so on to stage 3. This is where you're at least 2-star and beyond, okay? And I kind of think this is the last stage. I will say that the longer you're in this stage, the greater the benefits. this is where you start seeing the light. Okay. So it's 2-star and above. And what happens in this third stage is you stop having so much focus on your Success Club numbers and making a sale, because things are happening a lot more organically now. You have such great systems in place in terms of your consistency with doing challenge groups. Now you actually have people who contact you and like, hey, Karen, when's your next challenge group? Because you've been so consistent. So things are starting to happen for you a little bit more easily. You're not having to like pull teeth to get people into a challenge group, or pull teeth to get 2 Success Club points, or pull teeth to get a new coach on your team, because you've been so consistent. And even in the months where it was way tougher than another month, you stayed consistent. People know you're there and they start reaching out to you. And it's in the stage that this happens. And so you have less emphasis on trying to make a sale or trying to get someone to buy a challenge pack, or you feel less like you're pulling, and you have the sense of just giving. You have more of a sense of giving, right? Just always giving value and showing up, because now you're confident now. People are going to start coming to you. Now, that's not to say that you don't still have to ask people and invite people. You do. Oh my goodness. I hope you don't get the impression that I'm not like inviting people anymore, that people are just coming to me and asking to be in my challenge group and asking to be on my team. No, I'm saying it happens. But you still do have to invite, definitely. You're not as freaked out by it anymore. It's not like, now I make Success Club 5 like in the first, few days of my business, and I'm not like, trying to convince anyone or finding anyone. It's just, it happens much more naturally now. And this is because in this stage, in stage 3, your attraction marketing is really starting to kick in. People know now where to find you. They're looking at your Facebook page regularly, or your Instagram, or your blog, whatever it is that you use, or your YouTube channel. They're getting more in the habit of, following you because you offer such value. The other thing that happens in stage 3 is that you're now creating these duplicatable systems, so that not only are your personally sponsored coaches understanding how to work this business and really build it, but their personally sponsored coaches are doing the same thing, and their personally sponsored coaches, because you're creating these systems that your coaches can duplicate, their coaches can duplicate, and everyone can plug in and tweak it to make it their own. But everyone has some kind of blueprint to at least start with, right? And everyone does make it their own, and that's fine. But you're at least creating those systems now. So in other words, like everything that you're doing for your existing team members, and with the thought of your future team members that will be coming on board, you're always thinking, will this be duplicatable? In fact, there have been times, I don't know if any of you know, but Shalene Johnson is my sister. And of course, she's a business guru. And she said to me one time, and I forget even what it was, she had some great idea. She was like, you should do this. And I forget what it was. And I was like, that's a great idea, Shalene, but that's not duplicatable. That's not duplicatable. Like, I could do that, and that's great. But my coaches can't duplicate that. So there's no point in doing it. There's no point in me doing something that my team can't duplicate. For example, let's just say that my whole brand was the fact that I've been in, fitness videos, and that I used to actually, teach the videos for the Turbo Kick training instructor videos. I used to teach those. What if I built my brand on that? Like, what if, it said, fitness video cast member in my bio, and, I'm always showing all these behind the scenes and all that. My team can't duplicate that. Like, are they all going to be video cast members? I don't want to give them the idea that that's what it takes to be successful, because it's not. Success takes you being you, where people can relate to you and resonate with you, and see themselves in you, and be able to see how you're paving this path that they could also take. that's what coaches and potential coaches and challengers need to see. They need to be able to see themselves in you. And so so when it comes to creating systems for your team, you know, whether it be trainings or weekly trainings or you know, graphics that you design or whatever, just making it so that your team understands how to pass that along, and everyone gets trained. The other thing in stage 3 is that you're starting to hopefully invest in your business. I mean, I don't know of a successful coach, I don't, that hasn't really made an effort and some sacrifices to invest in their business. And that's why they are where they are. They're that committed. And so investing in your business might be Facebook ads. It might be getting some professional photos taken. It might be, I mean, I know what, and this sounds probably silly, but for me, I needed to get a new iPhone. I didn't have an iPhone at the time, actually, and I knew some of the apps, and this is several years ago, but some of the apps that I needed were only on iPhone, and I was like, OMG, I'm not due for an upgrade. Like, we were going to have to pay, I think it was like $500 for me to get an iPhone, and we bit the bullet and did it. I was like, my business needs it. I need to do that. Investing in, and this might sound scary to some of you, but investing in an assistant. Not everyone needs to do that, especially if you don't have a full-time job, a family. Depends on you and your situation, what's on your plate. But given what was on my plate at the time that I was working this business, I knew I had to hire an assistant. And it was really my sister that was like, dude, you need help. I'm like, you're right. And it was a very difficult decision for Matt and I, because I was not making money in my business yet. I wasn't, but I couldn't afford to let this slip by. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And I just hired someone for $10 an hour, and she just worked a few hours a week. But oh my gosh, it just helped me so much. Not only the actual work that she did helped me move forward, but you guys, it gave me room to breathe. It gave me room to think, where I felt a little bit like I was suffocating before, trying so hard to keep my head above water. And the other thing that it did for me is it put my back up against the wall. Because when I realized, what kind of activities did she do? Well, you guys, you know, and I get asked this a lot. This was 9 years ago. So the way our businesses worked then were so different. Like, for example, this is just an example. One of the things that we had to do as coaches is every day we had to go into our online office and log a workout and log, it was called Wowie. Yeah, I know. This is going way back, you guys. We had to log 3 or 4 different things. And then we had to go in and accept and do all these buddy requests. And so I just had her do stuff like that. And then as time progressed, I had her, organize things for me. Like, I had an Excel spreadsheet of everyone I had talked to, and I'd be like, okay, please, send me a list of everyone that I need to talk to on each day. And I just had her kind of almost tell me what to do. And I know that sounds weird, but I was like, I know what I need to do, but I also know I'm not doing some of these things because I maybe don't like to do them, but I know it's almost like she was holding me accountable in a sense. And I had her work alongside me at first, and then she was able to just work virtually. But like I said, I was working a full-time job at the time. So, it was just a little bit here and there, having her do whatever it was that someone else could do. And also, because I'm unorganized naturally, I had her organize some things for me and just kind of almost force me to do things, because I knew that I would be okay with letting myself down and not doing something, because who was going to know, right? Life would go on. Who would know? Who would know if I didn't introduce the business to 5 people that week? Who would know? Who would know if I didn't invite 5 new people, to learn about a fitness program that week? Who would know if I didn't add 20 people to my network that week? Who would know? No one would know. But I made sure that my assistant was tracking those things so that she would follow up with me. And so that way I was like, I don't want to be embarrassed in front of her. So that's what I was going to get to, is that it kind of put my back up against the wall. It made me get organized with what actually needed to be done and have someone kind of keep me on track with that. And that was her job. And so, but of course my assistant, her responsibilities, I mean, we're 9 years in now, so it's changed huge. It just needs to evolve with what makes sense for you at the time. So for everyone, that's going to look different. I also hired someone to clean our house every other week, and now she does every week. But at the time, every other week was all we could handle. But it freed up my entire Saturday, made a huge difference. Okay, so the other thing in stage 3 is that now you're introducing the business opportunity to at least 5 different people a week. And so if you're in stage 2 right now, this is what you need to do to get to stage 3, is you need to be introducing the business opportunity to at least 5 people a week, 5 different people per week. And of course, following up always with those people and the 5 people that you asked last week, and the 5 people that you asked the week before, and the 5 people that you asked, every week last month. You should have an ongoing list of people that you've talked to about the business opportunity. Now, if you're not expanding your network, and you're not, if you're, in stage 2 and you're not dabbling in that attraction marketing and expanding your network and having new conversations all the time, then introducing the business opportunity to 5 different people a week is going to be really tough. So now that's hopefully where you can see, okay, I can't skip this stage of the business, because if I don't do this, if I don't start delving into attraction marketing and another social media platform, I may not get to the point where I can introduce the business opportunity to at least 5 different people every single week. And you've got to get there. You've got to get there. And so this is also the stage where you should be adding 3 to 4 coaches a month. And I don't know if every coach agrees with this, but from what I've seen in all my experience of this business, if you really want to kick some major booty in your business, you've got to be adding 3 to 4 coaches per month, if not more. I'm just saying at a minimum, 3 to 4 coaches per month, because I tell you what, there's only a small percentage of people that you add on your team that actually will want to work the business. Pretty much everyone that I bring on my team says they want to work the business, because that's what I lead with. When I talk to people about the business opportunity, I don't lead with, hey, you should join and it's a great discount. I lead with, this is an amazing business opportunity, and you would be amazing because. I lead with the business opportunity. And so the majority of people joining me, that's what they're all in for. They're all in for this business opportunity. But even so, only a small percentage actually follow through on that. And I wish I could up that number. I wish it were more people that believed in themselves and believed in the business, but it is what it is. All I can do is lead by example and run with the willing. And so I do, and I continually add people to my team, and you do have to. The 4 people that that join you last month and are all in might not be all in by July or August. Okay, so if you stop there, your business is going to start to maintain, and then it's going to start to drop. And in order to continually be moving forward, you have to continually be adding new people to your team, and just continually run with the willing, and not let it get you down that some of them are going to decide not to do this anymore, or it's not for them, or whatever. It's going to happen. It doesn't mean you're a bad leader. It doesn't mean you've done something wrong. As long as you're not responsible for other people's success. You're not. Just like you're not responsible for their success in fitness. Okay. All you can do is lead by example and equip them and be there for them when they need help. But you cannot be there for them 24/7. If they decide to sit down and watch TV all day Saturday and not work their business, that's on them. You can't control that. Okay. So don't beat yourself up if you're adding people and they're not having success. They have to want it for themselves. But you do have to lead by example. You do have to be showing up every day and be consistent. So the other thing is, and this is lastly in stage 3, you have to have a system for getting your coaches started right. Don't overcomplicate this. Do not overcomplicate this. Think about what would you have wanted. I'm sure Emily has a system. I know I have a system. And that's a whole other training in and of itself, so I won't go into all of that. But you need to have something where you say, this is, in fact, if someone were to ask you today, hey, Sarah, what happens once I actually join? What happens? I won't know what to do. What do I do? You should right away be able to say, that's a great question. Here's my getting started right process. Can you say that? Do you know what that process is? Do you know what that system is? because you should not only be able to rattle that off to a prospective coach, but you should be able to rattle that off to your team members so that they can rattle it off to their prospective coaches and to their team members and to their team members. It should be so like, this is the system, this is the process, these are the steps, this is what they do. Because unfortunately, if you don't do that, what can happen is coaches get on YouTube and they start watching all kinds of videos from all different coaches, and they're brand new, and all of a sudden they're going down this wrong path, and they've got these all misconceptions about what coaching actually is. And it can be just a complete mess. And I warn my coaches, please do not go on YouTube and start watching a bunch of trainings. Trust in me, trust in my process. I have a whole getting started process, and here's what it's going to look like. Here's what you can expect over the next month. Okay, so make sure you have some kind of system in place. And lastly, I just want to go over kind of the results of, being able to move through these 3 stages. And in that 3rd stage, you guys, in every stage, you should be continually in what we call phase 1. You're always inviting people to challenge groups. You're always inviting people into this lifestyle of health and fitness, even if it means they don't buy something. You're always inviting people to take a look at this business opportunity, planting that seed. Of course, always know them first. Always know what their need is before you make that suggestion of starting a business like this. Because I've had a lot of coaches say, well, I don't know how to bring up the business opportunity. I don't know how to bring it up. It's more that you've listened to something they said, some problem, some pain point, and you've said, hey, given what you just told me, have you ever considered starting an online business? That's how it comes up. And you're just planting that seed. You're not expecting a yes. You're not expecting anything. You're just planting that seed. And over time, you're going to keep growing that seed. You're going to keep watering that seed and developing that relationship and connecting. It usually takes connections, 5 to 7 connections back and forth before someone decides to buy or join you. That's statistically speaking. And that's the case for me too. Even though I do have some people now, like I said, that'll come to me and say, hey, tell me more about this coaching thing, or tell me more about this challenge group you're doing. I get that now, which is amazing. But they still want to hear from me back and forth. It's still conversations back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over the course of days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, and even sometimes years. Yes, I've had people, in fact, right now I've got a woman she's been considering this for over 5 years and she still hasn't joined yet. So it happens. You can't control that. All you can do is lead by example, and hopefully you're showing them, what this is all about. So some of the results, number 1, in terms of what you have to look forward to, is that you get to the point where you're more of a leader now. You've kind of transformed from the inside. And what I mean by that is you now have this courage and confidence to step out and do things, pave new paths for your team and for other people in general. You show courage. You show, when I say you show leadership, it's that you have this calm confidence about you, that you're not afraid to do something that is original or unique to move your team forward. Okay, so when I think of leaders on my team, one thing, and it doesn't matter what rank they are, I just know, a leader on my team is someone who is willing to, they're not trying to fit the mold of what some other coaches are doing. They're thinking things through. Exactly. Stepping out of their comfort zone, stepping out of what is the norm. They're being original. They're troubleshooting. They're leading with a positive forward mindset. And it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. They're thinking of problem solving. And so it really takes courage to do that. And it really takes, thinking things through, for a coach to say, hey, I know no one else is doing this, but here's what I think my team should do this month. That's a leader. That is what a leader does. Or creating a graphic that and put this in a visual way, or a training or something that no one else has done before. That's being a leader. So that is one of the things that results from getting through all these phases. Another thing is that you start mastering your public speaking skills, something that I've really, really tried to work on. The other thing is you're really, really starting to dial in on your niche. You're now hopefully headed towards 6 figures per year, maybe even 7 figures per year. The other result is that you probably have freedom of schedule now, because you don't have to necessarily work that full-time job anymore. Maybe your husband doesn't have to work his full-time job anymore. You can hire out help where you need help. It's just amazing how much freedom this business can give you if you stick with it. The other thing is that, I think that's it. Oh, I was just going to say that you've honed in a little bit more on how to train people and how to mentor people and how to, basically how to lead them, and not expecting that everyone's going to get it, and kind of rising above situations. That's one of the things that results from, getting through all three of those great phases. So I just want to say lastly, what drives all of these phases, all of these stages that you'll go through in your business, definitely the vital behaviors, plus having a very strong why. Of course, I know that, anytime that I had lost rank, had a coach who I was really close with, like a close friend or something, quit. Anytime I had some of those things happen that really upset me, I'd allow myself a 30-second pity party, and then I would just go to an attitude of gratitude, because those things are going to happen and you can only control the controllable, and you can't take these things personally. But what kept me going was my why. I knew that I love what this business is about. I love what's at the heart of it. And I love that it was going to give me more time for my family and more time to do the things that I love to do. So it's the vital behaviors. It's having a very strong why. It's having consistency. That discipline is huge, because you need to do things when you don't feel like doing them. You need to do that. That's a really big one. A lot of coaches, if they don't feel like doing something, they don't do it. When I don't feel like doing something, I just say, okay, the average person right now would say, I'm not going to do that today. I'm not average, and neither are you. I'm going to do it right now. Eat that frog. The other thing is having empathy for others, and really being able to put yourself in their shoes and being a really, really good listener. Okay, so I saw a few questions come across the screen. One was, how long are you in these stages? That's up to you. And that's why I say, if you resonated with a particular stage, to get to that next stage, all you have to do is start doing those things that you heard me say in that next stage. So maybe you're in stage 2 and you know that you're not introducing the business opportunity to 5 different people per week. If you're in stage 2 and you know you're not introducing business opportunity to 5 different people per week, and you're not tracking that, that's why you're not in stage 3 yet. Does that make sense? So, there are some people like Emily that, moved. Yes, exactly, Nadia. That's awesome. That'll move through the stages very quickly. The faster you can get over your fears, and not necessarily even get over them, just freaking face them. Face your fears. And, realize that this is going to look messy at times. It's going to get real messy at times, and it's going to get uncomfortable and awkward at times. But, the more you move through those sticking points, the faster you're going to go through the stages. I saw another question, but I couldn't read it fast enough.
So it's, what are your main tips for moving from stage 1 to stage 2?
Main tips for moving from stage 1 to stage 2 is consistency with challenge groups. And I should have also mentioned sneak peeks. So having consistency with your challenge groups and your sneak peeks. And I think coaches sometimes, they're not as consistent posting about them or inviting to them and things like that. Maybe because they don't have it scheduled, or maybe because they're just kind of like half into it. Like, oh, maybe I'll host it if I get enough interest. So definitely having consistency when it comes to inviting, and also focusing on personal development and having consistency with that. Also, moving from stage 1 to stage 2 is branching out maybe into another social media platform. So maybe right now they're mostly focused on Facebook, or maybe it's Facebook and Instagram, and they need to maybe branch out into maybe it's YouTube, maybe it's blogging. Or maybe it's their like page. You know, maybe they are on Facebook and Instagram, but maybe they really need to start looking at a like page. You know, it's different for everyone, and there's not one particular social media platform that's better than another, in my opinion, because it's going to be whatever you like and have a feel for. The other thing is understanding your brand. In stage 2, you understand your brand. So that comes from doing a lot of posting. That's the only way you're going to understand that. And then the other thing is attraction marketing. You know, having something that you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of my area of expertise, or this is something where I'm going to become an expert because I'm so interested in it. And here's what I would want to know. In other words, I've been doing challenge groups called Hit Your Macros. And it's because I know that prior to understanding macros, I just wanted someone to tell me. I was like, can someone just freaking tell me what my macros should be? And so I thought, you know what, I bet there's a whole bunch of people that feel that way. And so I, you know, have been running last couple months, I ran groups where I said, you know, just for the 10 people that join who have either bought a challenge pack or are on Shakeology as my customer, either a new customer or a previous customer, the first 10 get to be in this group. You give me your data. I'm going to enter it into a macro calculator, and I'm going to give you your macros, right? And they get to choose their ratio. So I'm not deciding anything. I'm not acting like a nutritionist. I'm literally just entering in their data, and I'm telling them where I'm entering it in, but I'm doing it for them. And that's all. And so many people really appreciated that because they just never took the time to do it. So yeah, does that answer your question?
I think I think it's consistency, you know, like really setting those systems in place. I think you nailed it on the head. And I love that you're using the macro calculator.
Yes.
Giving them the results from that. That's so smart.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Janelle, this was absolutely incredible. And I saw so many people in the chat box just like, I'm in that awkward stage, or yes, like I'm trying to bust into 3. And I think it's so great to realize that that's normal. Yeah. Everybody goes through these stages. So thank you so much. I know it's late where you're at.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, we really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, you guys. I will have this recording up in the team page. So you guys, hopefully your teams are on, but you can share this with everybody. Have a good night, you guys. Bye, Janelle. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great night. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for getting on.